We ask people to spend so much money. Why don't we treat them that way? And I didn't realize what we were doing was something very special. Nobody told me that 5 million in your first year wasn't normal. Now I hope she stays with us forever, but even if she doesn't, we'll have given one more female the power to provide for her family if she chooses and to make a difference.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another segment of the Impactful Leader podcast. And today's guest took a garage startup and turned it into a multi-million-dollar HVAC company in record time while breaking barriers for women in the trades. And so today we're sitting down with Katy Higgins, the founder and the CEO of True Pros HVAC, to talk about leadership, grit, and building a company with integrity. Katy, I'm so honored to have you on the show. I just connected with you maybe 10 minutes before we started recording, and I'm excited about where this is going. So welcome.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. So I'm glad you reached out.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive in. So Katy, I want you to take us back. So before True Pros became a multi-million-dollar company, what problem or frustration were you experiencing that made you say, you know what? I'm going to start my own business?
Okay, that is an interesting question. So I was the first female in Utah, to the best of my knowledge, that did the in-home estimates in heating and air, and that was almost 20 years ago. So I was the first, and it was a very lonely career, but I had a very wildly successful career. When I turned 40, there was a job I was on, and I was in a crawl space, and I almost couldn't get out. And there's something my mom used to say to me: we paid for you to go to college. Why do you crawl under people's houses? And what happens if you get stuck? And I would say, Mom, I'll call the fire department and I'll quit my job. So this actually happened, and I almost didn't get out. And I thought, what am I doing? What is my retirement plan? Will I just end up answering the phones for the company I'm with when I can't get out of a crawl space? So I started really thinking about the future and what it looked like, looking around at a lot
Life
of my
literally flashed in front of your
Yes,
eyes, huh?
yes, yes, yeah. And thought about, I have this incredible lifestyle that I've been able to provide for my family in the sales department in heating and air. And how do I maintain that kind of life? There was also some things happening in our industry I just wanted to do it a little differently. And I thought customer service was being lost a little bit. And I wanted
Mm.
to try and do it with a little female finesse. And I think there's room for men and women, and just making room for women with the men. And that's
Yes.
what I've really done. So that was really the moment in time, was this crawl space in somebody's house in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Wow. So tell me more about the draw to customer service and hospitality in the industry, because I know with many of the trades, it has a bad rap for
Yeah.
those
Well,
particular areas.
we ask people to spend so much money. Why don't we treat them that way? I generally tell
Mm.
customers, in your life, you buy a house, you buy a car, you fix your roof, and replace the heating and air system. It's one of the most expensive things you do, and it's one of the things you know the least about. Why can't we educate the customers and let them make that decision? And something that we do special at True Pros, whether or not it's special, but I feel like it is, we include a maintenance program for 1 year. And I do that because I want to earn your business every year. I want to come out and
Mm.
provide the service and then ask you again, Chris, would you like to renew? And if you renew, we'll extend your labor at no additional charge every year. But I'm wanting to earn it every year, not just the one time where you never answer their phone call again, not the one time where they never know who their company is again. I want to be their company forever. So felt like customer service was being lost.
Yeah. And just from experiencing you on this call briefly, Katy, I noticed that I perceive you're a person that truly just values people in general.
Very
Like you
much.
really do care about people. So where does that come from and how has that influenced your leadership?
That's really a great question. I am a big believer in God, and everything in my life is centered around God. My home, my family. It wasn't always that way, and I've had times in my life that were not, and I prefer the times in my life where they are. And so building this company, the people around me had more faith in me than I did myself. And I'm so thankful for that, because there was so much of God's hand in every single detail. I when I started the company, I was in a garage and I had just been through a pretty hard thing and I had nothing. Zero
Mm,
money to my name. I sold my car. I got 15 or $13,000 and truepros.com was available to buy for $15,000. I emailed the guy and said I only have 13. He said, "Okay, sold." I'm like, "Man, I wish I would have told him that I had 12." So then I had $1,000 left for workers' comp. But in my neighborhood, one neighbor said, "Hey, I'll help you with your books," and did it for free for a couple of months. One neighbor helped me with the logo for free. One neighbor helped me make cookies for the customers. One neighbor
mm.
loaned me money to buy a car, and I've been able to pay them back tenfold, but their faith and they could see more in me than I could see in myself at the time. And then the employees that came to work with me uh, really rallied behind me. So that was incredible. But
Wow. So I love that you mentioned your faith journey because I think a lot of business owners that I've met, they live in faith, but you rarely hear people talk about that up front. And so I love how bold you are to say that no, the reason why I'm here today and the reason why I've made it this far was
Mhm.
first and foremost God
Yeah.
and God giving you a vision to step out in faith. So let me ask you this. When did you first realize, and this can be when you were a kid or teenager, so just in your life, that you had leadership capability? When did you first identify it as being leadership?
I don't even think to this day I believe it. I feel like a lot I'm living imposter syndrome quite a bit, and I'm working through that, like reading books and just hearing you say I'm running a multi-million dollar company. I'm like, yeah, I guess it is. It absolutely is. And I didn't realize what we were doing was something very special. That first year was so hard, and I lost a couple of really great people, but I didn't understand the volume and I didn't understand what we were doing until it was over. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
No,
does make sense.
nobody told me that 5 million in your first year wasn't normal. And so I was like, this is what we do. But every single thing that we went through was the first time it had happened. Oh my gosh, we fell through a ceiling. What do we do? Oh my gosh, our transmission blew up. What do we do? Oh my gosh, a tire went out. What do we do? Warranties, like it was the first time everything had happened. And there were 5 million first that first year. So at the end of the year, although that number is so incredible, there was a lot of carnage and heartache. And I wish I could go back and tell myself that it was going to be okay and to help the people that were with me understand, oh, this is not normal. What we're doing isn't something that everybody does every day, and have more understanding and be able to guide them through that a little better. So,
Yeah. And I love that. First of all, I love your humility because anyone who's looking from the outside at the business and how it's grown and scaled would be able to identify that you're leading well. But I also want to highlight, just in the course of this conversation so far, as a business owner, you recognize profit. So there's the financial side to business, and every business wants to grow. Every business owner wants to make money. But what I love is what I'm hearing is that you prioritize people over the profits.
yes. Yeah.
So when did that mindset become so settled in you?
I think it's always been there. And so it just came naturally as we were building True Pros. At the end of the day or year, so one of the first things I have new employees do is fill out a goal sheet. I don't care
Mhm.
why they're working for me or with me. I want to know, why are they working? What drives them? Do they want a car? Do they
Yeah.
want a trip? Do they want to get this certification? And every time and then so we have a training room, and each week they see their own goals, but they're just in pictures. And so it's meaningful to them, but maybe not everybody else. But when someone's able to pass something off and trade it out, like that is so impactful for me. And I feel like, you know what, we did that as a team and made that possible. So I think it was always there. I just didn't realize that it was like a trait of leader. But
Yes. So a leader not only grows personally, but a leader helps other people grow. So you're in tune with your vision, your calling, your mission, And a part of your vision, your calling and mission is to help others achieve theirs. Would you say that's correct?
Oh, absolutely. So, industry wide for heating and air, I believe statistically it's 2% female nationwide. I believe that
Hmm.
includes the office staff. I don't know. We're 65-35. We're 65% male, but 35% female. And I feel like we are giving an opportunity where people didn't know one existed from the ground up. I had someone reach out recently and say, I have a niece that's interested in going into the trades. Where would you suggest telling her to go to school? And I said, True Pros, obviously. Move her to Utah from California and we'll teach her from the ground up. And that's exactly what we're doing. Now, I hope she stays with us forever, but even if she doesn't, we'll have given one more female the power to provide for her family if she chooses and to make a difference in
I
our
love that.
industry. So,
I love this. I have to introduce you to my wife as well. She
okay,
would love to meet you. This is
this is
powerful.
great. Okay.
So you scaled so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but as we all know, when it comes to scaling requires sacrifice. So
Mm-hmm.
how did building True Pros shape you not just as a business owner, but as a woman, as a leader, as a mother, or even a friend?
I learned some really valuable and hard lessons that first year. And I you wear all of the hats, right? And we didn't get the chance to develop and grow and put the processes in place that come naturally with growing to 5 million and figuring that out, which has just been this year and like trying to put the pieces in place that should have been there. I've tried and failed a few times, but then tried and been successful. And I have not been the best mother, but I've been a wonderful grandmother, which is the highlight of my life. Got to throw that in there. But
My
I
dad says the same thing.
okay. You'll know when you become a grandpa. You're too young, but
Yeah.
setting aside time for my family, like we've got a family vacation coming up at the end of January. I told myself when I have the means to take my family on a trip, I will know that I've made it. I've sacrificed everything. I this year I couldn't even get a personal car. The bank said no, which was hilarious because I own 20 vans. They said I could buy it through the company, and I was like, so my husband went and bought me a car, thank goodness, but we laugh about that now. So sacrificed everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did you have to grow through personally to lead a team in a male-dominated industry? You alluded to it earlier. What did that do for you personally?
So much. So I worked because it was such a lonely career. I went to this service world event just recently, and then they had Danica, is it Patrick or Fitzpatrick speak? And she the race car driver. And what she said really resonated with me. She was like, it wasn't appropriate for me to hang out with the people working on my car because it was either misinterpreted or considered inappropriate. And I feel like I went through a lot of that in my own career. So I just stepped to myself. Recently, I found out there's a group called Women in HVACR that I've joined that have been around for I don't know how long, but there's a group of women. They might not be in Utah, but they are all over the United States. And having some people that I can talk to and lean on has been awesome. I don't think this was the question, but this has really helped me. And it's helped me as a leader to try and change what's happening for my female technicians now, is introducing them to women in HVACR, hiring other women so that they have somebody. I was so
Yeah.
lonely my whole career.
And you bring up an interesting point because what I've noticed about business owners in general, they walk a lonely road. They don't really have as many people that understand the pressures and the process of being a business owner. I even think about in the church realm. Someone once told me, like, Chris, how can I go into my Sunday school class and tell people I'm having trouble making payroll when one of my employees is right down the hallway?
Bring up such a good point. One of
Yeah.
the hardest lessons was being an owner is so lonely. As much as I want the employees to be my friends, it's not appropriate for
Mm.
me. So finding that balance of we're in the trenches together every single day. They don't want to hear what's actually going on in the business. They want to know that everything is awesome and that it's okay. Even though they say, "Oh yes, you can talk to us," like they're So finding that has been incredibly
Yeah.
emotional and lonely.
Okay, I'm gonna set up a scenario and I want you to
Okay.
give your just honest response to it. I'm a business owner and I haven't prioritized a community. What happens if nothing changes? What happens if I just continue to build business in a place of loneliness? What advice would you give me? What even admonishment or warning would you give me in that sense?
Get out while you're ahead. No, find a group and find friends out of your workplace. You spend the most time with those people, but find people that don't work for you. Find other owners. There's with social
Mm.
media, it's so easy to connect with other owners. Join a best practices group because they'll force you guys together, even if you don't want to. But I could not continue if I didn't have the groups that I have now. So they've given me the permission to be sad when I need to, because I can't do this in
Yeah.
front of the employees or understand the struggles of payroll or a transmission going out or and people are watching what we're doing. We're, to the best of my knowledge, the first female owned and operated heating and air company in Utah. It may or may not be true, but some husbands have listed their wives, but when they're all working under my license. And I don't have a
Mm.
brother, uncle, mother, or dad in the business that we took over, or it's just me. I do have a husband that I love very much. He is a commercial superintendent and knows nothing about heating and air other than listening to me talk about it for 15 years. I would
Yeah.
love for him to come work with me sometime, like maybe run the warehouse because it's lonely.
And I appreciate how you approach, rather, you articulated the different effects and impact of community. Number one, from even an emotional support standpoint. Number two, from a business knowledge and wisdom and optimization standpoint. And number three, for leadership development, getting around other leaders who are maybe a couple of steps ahead of you who can actually sharpen you in your leadership skills. So that's priceless. So you grew from nothing to over 5 million in 1 year, right? So what operational or customer principles enabled that kind of scale?
We have core values, which are excellence in every detail, growth and opportunity. We go through these every week, but integrity. There's a sixth one we always throw in there that we all randomly say friendship, which is not one of our core values, but it's what we all say as a team. Like it's friendship, just cheering each other on. I really think, and each week we do something called the True Pro of the Week, where we're nominating each other. Let's say I saw you taking the garbage out for the customer. That's excellence in every detail or customer approach. And then I put your name in a bucket. And each month we draw for the True Professional of the Month. We give a prize, like a monetary, like it was a Roomba last month, heated
Oh,
jacket the
that's
month
awesome.
before. But then you have to wear the True Professional belt of the month for the next 4 weeks. But we're encouraging each other to live and exemplify our core values, which so by nominating each other, cheering for each other each week. And then of course there's a cool gift. So
That's so cool. I love the
thanks.
culture of celebration. Whenever somebody exemplifies that team value, you
Yeah.
celebrate them. That's awesome. So, what makes True Pros different in an industry filled with gimmicks and aggressive sales tactics? What is
Oh,
the
good.
differentiator?
Okay, so we do lots of things. So we have a commitment with Make a Wish Utah. I think you and I touched on this at the beginning, and maybe this was before we got on. I have a special needs stepdaughter that lives with me full time, she's a 24-hour caregiver. And 16 years ago, Make a Wish Utah funded a trip for my husband and his deceased wife and child to go to Disney World. And right when we started, my husband said, I will get a job and provide for us if you will start a company and also donate to Make a Wish. And I'm like, what are we going to donate? We don't have anything. We went down and toured the Make a Wish building, and I would highly suggest that for anybody because at the end I was like, sell the house, give them all of our money. We didn't have much, but I thought maybe we could donate $25 per piece of equipment and maybe pay for a wish. We paid for 2 full family wishes in our first year, and this year we've done 4. But Make a Wish also gave something back to us, gave us a why, and then also We did our first company pictures there because we were working in my house. We didn't have a place to take pictures. We did our Christmas party there and they let us use the building for free. So it's been this two-way street of showing the employees what it means to give back and to receive. Like we were
Yeah.
willing to accept what they were giving us, which is this opportunity to support Make a Wish Utah, which is something near and dear to my heart, but also like they were giving to us too. So I don't think like I walk in to each team meeting each week thinking, how can I teach them my personal values, which is to lead with faith, Christ-centered life, but by with the core values that we have, and we're teaching them a great way to lead in their life. So whether they know it or not, or whether I knew it or not, like these were things that were it took almost a year to put together the core values. But one of the things we first did was I wrote a book called How to Not Get Ripped Off by an HVAC Salesperson. Um,
Wow.
so it's on the website if you get a chance, truepros.com. It's just a few pages long, but it was all the things that I even participated in at other companies. Like, is there, I'll just let you read for yourself.
So, Katy, it sounds like you're a disruptor in the industry.
Sure. Yes.
And I absolutely love that because as you and I are, we're kingdom people, and the kingdom way is the way of integrity. The kingdom way is elevating relationships over personal and financial gain. And unfortunately, whether it's in the blue collar industry, the trades industry, or the financial services industry, the flip can be script. Script can be flipped so in such a way that it's not valuing people and leading people to what is best for them and their family. So I love hearing that you're an advocate for people so they don't have to be manipulated and cheated. That's why I know that God is going to continually bless your
Oh,
business
I
because
love
you're
that.
going about it in such an honoring way.
Well, thank you for having
So
faith in me.
now, oh, absolutely. I'm getting fired up. Like you're stirring
Okay,
my
good.
faith hearing your story.
Okay,
So,
good.
so now I want you to put your visionary goggles on. I know you have them because you can't scale to the way you've scaled without it. So, where is True Pros headed in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh,
What do you
30
see?
million. 30 million. That's
30
the
million.
BHAG, yeah. We just added plumbing this year, so it's True Pros Plumbing, Heating and Air. It's just True Pros, and I left it that way so that we had the ability to add different verticals if we wanted to. It could even be True Pros Pickleball. Who knows? Depending on how it worked out. So maybe Heating and Air
Yeah.
didn't work out, but that's what I know how to do.
So, I want to ask you a question. This is going to be really introspective. So, who will you have to become as a leader to support that company, that business of $30 million in revenue a year?
There is a gentleman that runs a company here in Utah, Any Hour, Wyatt. I have watched him over my whole career and just watched from afar, and he's done an incredible job leading and also exiting. I think Any Hour now there's an Any Hour group now. I'm sure that there has been some really hard things behind the scenes, but if I could lead with grace and integrity over the next 20, 30 years, hopefully not that long, but I would try and exemplify his career.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I'm looking forward to staying in touch with you and watching the journey. So, to that point, how can people follow you, follow your story, access your book? What's the best way to stay in touch with Katy?
It's truepros.com. That's our website, but my email is katie@truepros.com. It's Katy. And I'm really good about responding to an email or a text. I'm really easy to get a hold of if you truly need something, and I'm very happy to help. I wish there were more people, like I would knock on doors asking for help when I was considering starting, and some people were helpful and some weren't. But I will absolutely tell you about my successes and failures and how I did it, which was not by the book, but it was not intentional. But now I'm leading with intention and with a goal in mind.
I love
Yeah.
that. And then, last question as we wrap up the podcast. So, when you think about your leadership from an integrated perspective, from business to family and life, what do you hope endures because how you lived and led?
as a female owner and operator, that I did it successfully. I think there are some people really rooting for us as a team, and then some that are not. And I just need to surround myself with the people that are and hold on to that. I do get a lot of hate. I do a lot of tutorials that go out on YouTube and TikTok, and I make mistakes. I'm human. It like right out the gate, I got a 1-star Google review that said gross, and I was like, gross what? Gross pants, gross driving, gross like what is it? Google eventually took it down, but I went home sobbing, and I'm like, it had nothing to do with our work, and so I just have to turn off the hate and be okay and know what we're doing is so important that I need to turn all of that off and focus on the positivity.
Wow, what a response. Katy, thank you so much for
Thanks.
joining us on the podcast. I appreciate your thought leadership. You are truly an inspirational person, a
Thanks.
person of integrity, and also, man, you have such resilience. So I'm excited what's going to happen in your life and also True Pros. I'm so glad you joined us on the podcast and watched and heard Katy's story. Katy's story shows what's possible when integrity, faith, and courage collide. If this inspired you, I want you to hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone building something meaningful. And if you're in Utah and need HVAC, plumbing, or electrical work, check out True Pros, a company leading with excellence. See you on the next episode of the Impactful Leader podcast.